The interval creation operator emits values in ascending order on the duration you specify. From creating timers within your UI, to polling, to controlling delays on output from other observables, interval has a wide variety of use cases. Let's check out a few examples to see how it works. We'll start with importing interval from RxJS. Next, let's create a constant called timer to hold our interval observable. The interval function accepts a duration in milliseconds, which is the time between emitted values. For this example, we'll just emit a value every 1 second. Now, let's subscribe to our timer observable. For this, let's just provide the console.log function. Remember, if you only provide a single argument to subscribe, that function is registered as the next callback. So, on every value emitted from our interval observable, this console.log will be called. When we save, you can see a new value being emitted in sequence every 1 second. If we wanted these items to emit more frequently, we could lower the duration here. So if I change this to 500, a new value is then emitted every half second. Let's go ahead and change this back, and we'll comment out the subscription for a second to stop the timer. The last thing worth looking at in this lesson is there may be times where you want the first value to be emitted on an interval separate than the rest of the items. For instance, maybe if instead of waiting 1 second for the first emission, you need to emit the first item immediately, followed by a value every 1 second after. For these use cases, you can use the timer operator. To see this, let's go ahead and add timer to our operator imports. Next, let's swap out our interval here with timer. The timer operator takes up to 2 arguments, the first being the delay for the first emission, and the second being the time between emissions, the same as interval. If you want to emit only a single item after a specified duration and then complete, you can just supply the first argument as well. So if we want to emit the first item immediately, all we need to do is supply 0 as the first argument. Let's uncomment the subscription now, and when we save, you'll see the first value emitted, followed by all others at a 1 second duration. If we instead wanted to delay the first emissions for a longer duration, we could supply a larger value here. Let's change this to 2000 milliseconds. Now, the first item won't be emitted for 2 seconds, followed by a value every second. To emit a single value after 2 seconds and then complete, we can just remove the second argument. Now, after 2 seconds, our value is emitted, followed by no other values. To recap, interval emits numbers in sequence at the duration you specify. If you need to emit the first item slower or more quickly than the overall duration, you can check out the timer creation operator instead.